Welcome, everyone, and welcome to Progressive Discussions, um, Uncensored Saturday, Open Topic Talk. I'm your host, James P. Madonna, and for those of you that are just watching the show for the first time, I've been doing this since 2007. I present the real hard-hitting truth that most people are afraid to hear. No, uncensored, no holds barred, underground live stream broadcasting. Okay, hold on. Good evening, fellow New Jerseyite, Mr. Bart Robinson. Good to see you. I hope you had a good week. Spring, I believe, is coming early this year. We've had 2 perfect days. Not too cold, not too warm. Very dry, clear, and sunny. Couldn't ask for better weather. So it's good to see you. Let me have a sip of, this is not yellowtail wine. This is some Italian company. For the same large bottle, $10. It's imported. It had a cork in it, unlike yellowtail, which has a screw top. This is Pinot Noir, a very nice grape grapey, fruity bouquet. The aroma is very nice. It's a dry red wine. And the reason why I am choosing Pinot Noir is because the Pinot Noir grape is the richest source of antioxidants of all the grapes. Maybe Concord might beat it out, but as far from what I understand, it has the richest known source of trans resveratrol and the polyphenol oligomeric proanthocyanidins. I keep it refrigerated, and I keep this lovely glass in the freezer. Ronald Terrio has one also, because I told him where I got mine. I got this at the Dollar Tree years ago. Very thick, heavy-duty glass. See, as you can see. Beautiful design. And it has a very nice frequency. So, he has the same one. Okay, let's see what's going on with Bart. But it's going to be cold tomorrow. Really? I'm drinking a $7 bottle of Stone Cellar Cabernet. Not bad at all. That's Cabernet Sauvignon, right? It's good. I've had it. I've had Cabernet. The other one is Pinot Grigio. I never had that one. But usually I get Shiraz. I like Shiraz until I did my research and found out about the Pinot Noir grape. All right. So let me or us sink our teeth into these topics. It happens to be the first show of March 2025. It is Saturday, March. I don't know. The date is screwed up on my PC. It says it says March the 2nd, but it can't be. March the 3rd is Monday. I know because I have a doctor's appointment. So it's still March the 1st, right? I think. Is it? Or is it the 2nd? I don't know what the fuck's going on here. But anyway, it is the first show of March 2025. March goes in like a lion and out like a lamb. In like a lion and out like a lamb. The Ides of March. Don't eat too much starch. All right, let's see what we got here. Let's see what this is all about. Oh, yeah. This is about a native a Native American in terms of a native United States species that became extinct in the early 20th century because of selfish humans, superficial, selfish humans exploited this creature for the dumbest reason. And this creature is the Carolina parakeet. Let me just get this up here. Carolina parakeet. What's going on here? That's the way I want it. Tommy Carroll. Tommy Carroll, greetings, Comrade Madonna. Hope you had a pleasant and constructive week. Greta Thunberg says your hair is to protest for. She has autism, right? High of 37 degrees tomorrow. It's not too far from the freezing point, which is 32. There we go. Oh, Tommy Carroll's here. Bart Robinson is here. Let me get this going. The poor Carolina parakeet. I really hope they bring it back through DNA, you know, in the laboratory.
Thanks to Brilliant for supporting this episode of SciShow. Go to brilliant.org/scishow to learn more. When you picture a parrot, you might imagine it in a tropical forest in the Amazon or an island in the Pacific. You probably don't picture Denver. But up until only a century ago, the United States was home to its very own species of parrot, the Carolina parakeet. Parrots are, generally speaking, birds of the order Psittaciformes. This includes macaws, parakeets, cockatoos, and others. These birds aren't really native to much of the United States. One or two Central American species make it just north of the Mexican border, and a bunch of others have been introduced as released pets. But the Carolina parakeet, Conurhopsis carolinensis, was endemic to the US, meaning it lived nowhere else. They were small, colorful birds around 100 grams in weight with green bodies, yellow heads, and orange faces. They were most commonly found in the trees along rivers and swamps, gathering by the hundreds in infamously noisy flocks. According to historical reports, they could be found as far north as New York, south to Florida, and west to Colorado. It was around the mid-1800s that the birds went into a sharp decline, and not long into the 20th century, they became entirely extinct in the wild. The last captive Carolina parakeet died in the Cincinnati Zoo in 1918, in the very same cage that the last captive passenger pigeon had died just 4 years prior. But even though these birds are gone, we can still learn a lot about them from what we have left. At least 720 skins and 16 skeletons of Carolina parakeets are still preserved in museum collections around the world. Those specimens not only help us understand the bird's anatomy, they can also preserve the bird's DNA. Seriously, you'd be surprised how long that stuff can last. In a study published in 2019, researchers sequenced the genome of one such Carolina parakeet specimen, unlocking clues to some lingering questions about how the birds lived and died. For example, the birds were famous for eating a plant called cocklebur, which is fun because cockleburs are very toxic. In fact, the birds ate so much of it that, according to historical reports, it made them poisonous. Cats were even reported to have died from eating birds that ate the plant. In the new DNA analysis, the researchers noticed unusual mutations in two genes. The genes code for proteins that carry energy between the mitochondria and other parts of the cell. What's interesting is that these two proteins are specifically disrupted by cocklebur toxin, interfering with the cell's ability to function. Exactly what those mutations do isn't clear yet, but it could be some sort of genetic resistance to the plant's poisons, a small change that allowed these parakeets to thrive on a specialized diet. Unfortunately, a diet of literal poison was nothing compared to the effects of living alongside humans. We don't know exactly why the Carolina parakeet went extinct, but most researchers agree that humans are at fault between hunting the birds and destroying their habitat. But while we're pretty confident they're gone, we don't know if their decline was slow in response to various pressures, or if they went out like a light. See, if a species slowly dwindles over time, we would expect their DNA to show evidence of inbreeding and low genetic diversity as their populations gradually shrank. This new study was on the lookout for large chunks of the genome where each chromosome in a pair had identical gene variants. This would suggest the bird's recent ancestors were so closely related that they shared a bunch of the same DNA. These effects can cause a species to go into a spiral towards extinction, as their gene pool dwindles. But the new research found no evidence of this. The Carolina parakeet's extinction doesn't appear to have been slow. Instead, as the authors of the new study put it, the extinction happened so quickly that it left no traces in their genomes. This is pretty good evidence that human activity in the 1800s was the leading cause of their disappearance, not some vulnerability inherent to the parakeets. Parrots are in a bad way. More than half of all living species are in decline, and almost a third are considered globally threatened with extinction. Based on this research, it seems the Carolina parakeet was so devastated by human activity that its genetic code left little evidence of decline. By studying other other extinct species with different patterns of extinction, we can be better equipped to detect human impacts on modern species, and to spot the warning signs before it's too late. The United States may never have another endemic parrot, and that's on us, but the least we can do is learn from this tragedy and preserve the noisy, colorful birds still with us. The people who solved this parrot's genome had to know both biology and how to make a computer do biology for them. The better we get at sequencing DNA, the more data there is to handle. Enter the field of computational biology.
Yeah. The poor Carolina parakeet. It squawks no more. Now, this is about our smartphones allow tracking and spying, even though you shut your phone off. Let's see. Hold on, man. Hold on, you motherfucker. Every time I try to start at the beginning, but then it automatically starts. It should not automatically start unless I start it. You damn pencil neck geek programmers, at it again. They always like any time when I went to school, all the geeks, which got straight A's, they probably had high IQs. They all went out of their way to get under the skin of everyone because they knew they were not real men. They were dorks, and they're not going to make anything easy for the population. Let's put it that way. That's how they get attention. That's the only source of cojones that they have. Testicles. That's the only thing that they have, is utilizing their brains to cause problems. And that's why you have, I think that's why you have so many glitches on the social media today in so many different forms. Evening, Bart Robinson. Hope you are well, knowing all our tax dollars are being spent so well. Here we go. Republicans always bitching and moaning about their taxes. Well, let me tell you something. The middle class should not be burdened with taxation. Okay, it should be the top 2%. My taxes. Yeah, the taxes were pissed away. Well, you can blame all of establishment government for that, both the Democrats and the Republicans, for squandering tax dollars. It appears these nonprofits can be very profitable to a certain number of people. This is why I do not donate to any famous large charitable organizations, because they have CEOs making a fortune. And my question is, why does a charitable organization need a CEO? It's a charity. It's a fundraiser. It should be volunteer work. A CEO making a fortune for a charitable organization? That's absurd. Okay, that's why a small fraction on a dollar goes to the worthy cause, a very small fraction. And I also think that mega churches that should not exist, because if you're a pastor and you're doing God's work, you should not be striving to be wealthy and have private jets and a mansion and stretch limousines like Joel Osteen. No, you should be helping and giving to the poor if you really are a man or a woman, even though it's supposed to be a man. According to the Bible, it's supposed to be a man. A man of God will help the poor with the parishioners' donations, not help himself. Okay, so they should be paying taxes, especially when they stick their big Pinocchio Zuckerberg nose into politics, trying to create laws. You stick your big friggin' nose into politics, and you want to affect law. You should be paying taxes like everyone else. Okay, that's that. Here we go. Speaking of right wingers, concerned citizen, what did you think of my post on X this week? I don't know. I didn't see it. I was too busy. Did you see the meeting with? I'm going to play that video. I'm glad you brought it up. You know what I would do? First of all, I wouldn't argue with morons. I would say after they try to shake me down, if I was Zelensky, after they try to shake me down, like a couple of goons, and give me an ultimatum. You want to continue the peace, then you have to give us your natural resources, which is typical of a greedy Republican who is taking marching orders from Elon Musk. All right, everything's got to be privatized. Everything's got to be for profit. So I would get up and I would say, I don't want anything from the United States. I'm dealing strictly with the European Union. The European Union is behind me, is backing me, and that's it. And the European Union should turn its back on the United States, the evil capitalist country of the United States. And I think the United Nations should move out of New York, should move out of the United States completely, and move and transfer to, let's say, Geneva, Switzerland or something. Switzerland is a nice place to move the United Nations. Get the United Nations out and have the European Union at a protest for the Trump administration turn their back on the United States, the entire European Union. All right, that's it. That's my take on that. But I will play the video later. That meeting was solid gold entertainment. Well, what are you going to do? You know, Zelensky, he's in another country. He's in the Oval Office. He was probably being bullied by the two goons, the two brain cell deficient morons. So what can he do? I would just sit there and just smile and just grin at the both of them. Oh, like you can really depend on Joel Osteen in an emergency. That's why when they had a terrible hurricane down there, he refused to allow people that lost their homes from the hurricane to sleep in his church. You know, a place to stay. He refused them until after so much pressure that was put on him, he finally gave in. Yeah, you can really depend on him in an emergency. Anyway, I continue. All right. Let me see if I can make this full screen. No, not really. That's all right. This is good enough.
Every major phone company switch to non-removable batteries at the same time. Do you ever think about that? They will tell you it's about making phones slimmer, more waterproof, but really it's about taking away your control. Back in the day, you could pop the battery out and boom. No power, no tracking, no eavesdropping. But now, hit that power button all you want, it's still on. It's still listening. Think about it, alarms still work when your phone is off. App updates sneak in overnight. And what about airplane mode? Well, it turns out that's just a placebo. Your phone is always alive, always connected, and this wasn't just one company's idea. Every major brand, every model shifted at the same time. Not one gave us a choice. Now, why did this happen? Because the system needed it. It's all about control. They've created a device you carry willingly, one that tracks your every move, listens to your conversations, and beams it back to who? You don't know. And that's the scariest part. The tech didn't evolve to serve us. It evolved to watch us, and we just went along with it, didn't we? No questions, no pushback, just acceptance. This is just a theory, not a fact.
Fascinating, isn't it? This is long overdue. Tokyo is turning. Hold on. Let's see what's going on in my studio here. Douche. I don't call it Doge. I call it douche. It's run by a douche, and is serviced by douches. I don't pay attention to any ideas coming out of the brain and the mouth of a multi-mega billionaire. Any of the multi-billionaires, I have no interest in. Nothing they say is valid, except for really eliminating government waste. Not Republicans waging war against the poor and behaving like sociopaths with no empathy or compassion. No, not that. I mean real waste, like ridiculous waste that shouldn't happen. That part I agree with Elon Musk. People that are deceased receiving Social Security, that part I agree with. What else? Government agencies that are doing absolutely nothing, no work, no accomplishments, nothing. I agree. I agree. Get rid of that. But what turned me off about douche, the douche of Doge, Elon Musk, is when he said that Americans that collect some form of social services, government programs, are parasites. And this is a man who will never make a dent in the amount of money he has, no matter how much he spends, to be that selfish, stingy, and cruel towards the unfortunates in this country, and to be like that. No. Douche, like I said. Doge is douche. Is run by a douche. All right. Tokyo is turning to a 4-day work week in a desperate attempt to help Japan shed its unwanted title of world's oldest population. All right. Let's see what we got here. Japan is facing a population crisis. Well, it's not just that. It's just the fact that, a 5-day work week is just too much. It's too much. People need to recharge their batteries. They need to recuperate. They need R&R. You know, they need recreation. So they come back to work on Monday, you know, refreshed and energized and ready to start a new fucking horrible week working for the man. It's better to work 4 days for some scumbag piece of shit employer, abusive douchebag employer. It's better to have to work 4 days than 5 days. That's how I look at it. All right. Now they're saying, you know, the population is too old. Oh, he's talking about the gold card. The gold card as a route, as a direct path to citizenship. Some bullshit. We will continue to review work. All right. You know what? Japan is complaining about the age of their population. I don't know. I don't understand what this has to do with the work week going from 5 days to 4 days. But now they're talking about the number of children a woman has in her lifetime. Does this have to do with more leisure time for sex and getting pregnant? Maybe. I'm trying to do a speed reading. They're talking about low birth rate. Japan's low birth rate, which means that the population will be older, which is true. But the 4-day work week, the only thing I can think of is that there's more time to have sex and get knocked up. Whatever. We're overdue for a 4-day work week. That's it. Whatever reason Japan's coming up with, we're overdue for a 4-day work week. Yeah. Got a lot of heavy duty topics here. This has to do with the first anti-gravity aircraft. Now, I love science. I'm a man of science. All right. And let me tell you, this excited me when I first came across it. This really excited me. What's going on is this fucking thing. Shut up. Let me start at the beginning, you jackass. I hate it when they control the video instead of you. Yeah. What's going on here? What the hell's going on here, there, Tommy Carroll? Conrad Madonna might be a little upset because that great nation of Mexico is going to have to raise the price of avocados. No, it's actually the tariff hurts the consumer. I mean, as the avocados get shipped to the United States, the hook-nosed middleman, beep beep beep, the capitalist middleman is the one that arranges the cost to be slapped on the consumer. Okay, Mexico and China, they're not going to be suffering from the tariffs. It's the consumers that will be suffering. So if they voice concern, they're only upset because the consumers will be paying higher prices and they feel that perhaps the consumer might boycott a certain product. Like I'm boycotting eggs because there's no fucking way I would pay more than what I usually pay normally for free range, pasture raised organic eggs, which is $5 a dozen for jumbos. I wouldn't pay any more than that. You know, I don't fall victim to price gouging, which is a common greedy capitalist racket scheme. So I'm boycotting eggs. I'm not buying any eggs. I'm eating oatmeal, organic oatmeal, with some organic additives that I put in there. So that's a story about the price gouging. That's my take on price gouging. The great nation of Mexico with Claudia, who took over from a man who should be canonized as patron saint of Mexico, former Presidente Obrador. She's taken over for another 6 years. They're trying to end term limits, because I think Obrador should stay in like the Pope. You know what I mean, jelly beans? All right, here we go.
Triangle in shape, this spy plane design seems like something out of a science fiction novel. It can perform incredibly high G turns, undetectable on radar, and was developed from top secret Nazi research captured from World War II. And believe it or not, it would use an engine system that can only be described as anti-gravity magic. The anti-gravity TR-3B Black Manta. So the question that is on your lips, what is meant by anti-gravity? In the case of the TR-3B Black Manta, it means a craft that uses highly pressurized mercury accelerated by nuclear energy. So the plasma is produced, which in turn creates a field of anti-gravity around the craft. It has an electromagnetic coil at the heart of its motive power system, the result of which is electromagnetic drive that interacts with the Higgs boson field at the quantum level. Heady stuff indeed, and definitely something that is probably not common knowledge, or even really provable at this point. So an anti-gravity aircraft doesn't use conventional turbine or rocket engine technology, but instead a propulsion system that creates thrust by generating high-energy plasma. These aircraft are also referred to as flux liners. As with many divergent aviation technologies, anti-gravity technology dates back to the latter part and aftermath of World War II, and specifically the covert US project known as Operation Paperclip. The objective of Operation Paperclip was for the US to gain as much leverage against the Soviet Union in the military armaments technology race, which is why the project was packed to the rafters with German scientists who were avowed members of the Nazi Party. That means the US has been investigating anti-gravity technology for nearly 70 years. There have also been a slew of confirmed peer-reviewed research studies regarding anti-gravity technology spanning some 60 years, conducted and published by respected agencies such as NASA, the American Institute of Physics, and the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics, as well as the Air Force Research Laboratory. It is the culmination of theories regarding gravitation, quantum gravity, and general relativity, the latter as first put forward by Albert Einstein himself. Anti-gravity is of such huge interest to the military and scientists alike, given that, for example, one could hypothetically reduce an aircraft's mass by using electromagnetic propulsion even down to zero. Little wonder that the likes of NASA, the US Air Force and Lockheed Martin researchers have all invested in theoretical studies regarding the ability to alter inert mass. According to experts, the TR-3B Black Manta would use conventional thrusters located on the tips of the aircraft that would allow it to perform a dizzily number of rapid high-speed maneuvers, including perfect right-angle turns and hyper-acceleration. It could even achieve this along all three axes as well. Remember, the TR-3B was designed to be a subsonic stealth spy plane. For one thing, it's a very silent aircraft, save for a slight humming noise. An interesting byproduct of the plasma the TR-3B generates is that it significantly reduces the aircraft's radar signature, thereby making it ideal for missions in which stealth is paramount. This means that the TR-3B Black Manta could sneak into just about any airspace of any country and not be detected by its air traffic control or air defense systems. This little black number has been associated with a number of reports of sightings of flying triangle aircraft over the Antelope Valley, an area of desert in Southern California, much beloved by UFO watchers. It's also this desert area of California that draws people interested in covert black projects or black op military projects, given its close proximity to several known military research and testing areas, including Edwards Air Force Base and US Air Force Plant 42, the latter of which is a mere 60 miles or 97 kilometers from downtown Los Angeles. In my humble opinion, the United States Air Force must thank its lucky stars for UFO enthusiasts and believers of alien spacecraft. After all, as Popular Mechanics has written, a number of reports of so-called black triangle UFOs have probably been secret military aircraft in reality. The TR-3B Black Manta could certainly be the type of black ops project typical of the US Air Force and Navy. The U-2 spy plane of the 1950s, the SR-71 jet of the 1980s, and the present-day F-117A stealth craft are just three examples of planes that the US Air Force denied existed for years, all of which were first covertly developed in Nevada's infamous Area 51 base. And let's not forget that Area 51 itself was only finally acknowledged by the US government when its most covert agency, the CIA, did so on June 2013, courtesy of the Freedom of Information Act, request filed 8 years earlier. So what about this proof? Allegations have swirled around the TR-3B Black Manta for years. The Bat, as the TR-3B is sometimes affectionately known by Black Ops aviation researchers, is hardly new in the covert sighting stakes. Steve Douglas claims that he first captured the ultra-secret aircraft on video in 1994. Douglas had been used to tracking the likes of the once-secret F-117 stealth fighters, but this new aircraft was shaped differently and had a different sound crackling over his military-grade radio scanner. Douglas had witnessed this strange aircraft at the White Sands Missile Range in southern New Mexico, which is where the first atomic bomb was tested in July 1945, which makes it the perfect place to experiment with nuclear technologies. So you're probably wondering, does any of this even exist? There are of course the inevitable allegations that the TR-3B was built by the military using extraterrestrial reverse engineer technology. Even Forbes magazine mused in 2021 that maybe, just maybe, the patents issued could be a cover for alien technology captured over the years by the US military. Thank you again so much for watching.
That's right, brother. Love it. I love it. I love it. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Send. Message sent. Okay. Oh. This has to do with fake Meat being sold in markets. Beware of fake food sold in American supermarkets. Ah, okay. Let me check and see if there's any commentary here about after the avocados. Off to see the wizard, Brother Madonna. Might be a little too late for canonization for some folks. Have a good week. You too have a good week and have a very pleasant Sunday. I know I will be watching the WWE pay-per-view Elimination Chamber on DailyMotion.com app. They play it as soon as the event is over, and I watch it for free. Free. That means it's for me. Okay, we are now, well, we've been streaming on YouTube and Twitch. So all of you Twitchers out there and YouTubers, if you have any topics that you want to bring up, any questions, feel free to do so. I'm going to try to get one of my co-hosts, celebrity performing artists, underground journalist, clothing designer, songwriter, Paul Anthony Manti on the show. I think there's a really good chance I'll get him on. Okay. Now this is really disgusting, and you know, it's not only meat, it's bread, excuse me, it's bread, it's other foods that are just not normal. And leave it up to corporate greed in the capitalist country of the United States. That's right, the shithole called the United States. All right, where every penny is pinched so hard, both heads and tails are on the same side. Greed, the love of money, that is their God. And their church is the bank. Oop, wait a minute.
A juicy, sizzling steak made by computer. While obtaining regular meat is a process that's been taking place for millennia, cow, butcher, beef, Redefined Meat, a meat alternative startup out of Israel, makes their product using a highly technical process. The mix of soy and pea protein, chickpeas, beetroot, nutritional yeast, and coconut fat is formed into steak-like shapes using a 3D printer.
Our goal is to become the largest meat company in the world just by harnessing technology instead of animals.
Yeah, that figures Israel will be behind selling fake meat.
Meat substitutes are not new, but unlike the soy-based crumbles that mimic ground beef, Redefined Meat's product is designed to act, taste, and cut like flank steak.
This is the holy grail of alternative meat.
But the most important part, how does it taste? This diner was happy.
Ugh, how does it taste? And that's where it ends. Gross. Disgusting. Ugh. Okay. Oh, let's see what we got here. Post from Bernie Sanders. It's probably a short one.
I do not want to hear one Republican come to the floor of the Senate and talk about freedom. Unless that senator has the guts to call out Trump for the lies that he is telling about Putin and the war in Ukraine. Mr. President, it was Russia that started the war, not Ukraine. It is Putin who is the dictator, not Zelensky. This country must not align itself with Putin and authoritarianism. We must fight for democracy all over the world.
That's right. Okay. This is gruesome. It has to do with illegal organ harvesting. Very unethically done. It's a terrible thing, but you know what? Considering how greedy the American healthcare system is, a hospital is like a little corporation. And of course, Big Pharma is one of the most evil corporations. Yeah, that was nasty, Bart Robinson. No, Ronnie is persona non grata with my show. I'm done. I gave him many chances in the past. And he apologizes every time, and he does the same thing over and over. This time he did not apologize because he knows how angry I am about what he did. Okay. No. I'm done. I'm done with him.
Is a lie. So people don't even realize it's a lie anymore. But it's been a lie from the beginning, continues to be a lie. They invented brain death mainly to get organs, but then also so they don't waste money on treating people who aren't ever going to get a job, who are just going to live and not die. And so to see what brain death is, it's primarily a way to get organs. You cannot get any organs from a cadaver. Every organ that's transplanted is a healthy organ, and you can only get healthy organs from living persons. You cannot get any organs for transplant from a cadaver. The things I'm telling you is that you are not allowed to hear, because if you hear it, you will be upset, as all three of you are upset. And rightly so, you should be upset. Whose organs do they want? Certainly from all children, but especially the people who are 16 to 30. And their life is in jeopardy. If they're unconscious and on a ventilator, they're going to get their organs. Everybody who's called brain dead has a beating heart, circulation, and respiration. If they didn't have that, you wouldn't have to call them brain dead. You could call them dead.
Yep. Yep. See how barbaric and wicked this system has become? The horrible, chaotic world we live in. Evil has taken over. Let's see. Oh, this is positive. It's a radical change in electric cars. China announces the battery that changes everything. A full charge in 10 minutes. I don't think there's a video associated with this. Probably just an article. Let me get back to well, whatever he promises not to do before the show starts, he lied. He lies. he goes ahead and does it. He tries to censor me. He talks over me. He interrupts me every time I try to speak. He doesn't allow me to go through the serious topics, articles, and videos, the material I usually go through at the beginning of the show. He's complaining in the background as the video is playing because he doesn't like the idea that it's progressive because he's right wing, and he doesn't believe in listening to anyone else's opinion. And if it has to do with science and technology, especially robotics, he's against that. So he's in the background complaining as the video is playing. He's obviously trying to sabotage a very progressive show that I've been doing since 2007. So that's the whole thing in a nutshell, really, with Ronnie. You know, he just wants a fucking hangout. You know what I mean? He wants a hangout where he can get drunk and smoke weed, and that's it. You know, there's no purpose to him being on a live stream except to hang out. I'm not here to have fun. I mean, after I do this and I have open topic talk with panelists, it could be a combination of fun with serious talk. I don't have a problem with that. But don't go insulting everyone like he insulted Geordie from Scotland. Geordie left right away, quickly. He insulted Paul Mantia. Paul left immediately. Then he started giving me a hard time. What I should have done, you see, I'm too nice. What I should have done is muted him as soon as he started interrupting my first video last Saturday. I should have muted him until the whole segment was finished. And if he starts drinking and gets confrontational like he does when he drinks, he gets confrontational, he insults and picks fights with everybody. And as soon as he starts insulting one of my other guests, I should mute him again and mute him again and mute him again and not worry about him getting mad. He gets mad when he's muted, but when he's not muted, it's okay for him to insult people, put them down, and to sabotage the progressive message that I have on this show, because he's not progressive. He's very right-wing. Well, he can have his own live stream, or he can join other right-wing shows. All right, radical change. Okay, 10 minutes is pretty fast. China is much more advanced in science and technology than people think. You know, I mean, instead of waiting an hour for your electric car lithium battery to fully charge, it's really great for it to charge in 10 minutes and to have a longer range too. Let me see if it mentions anything about a longer range. I know the range. The report, however, I'm just doing some speed reading. The report, however, came out before the latest update last month. The company has since announced the Shenzhen Plus, a new battery that can keep a car going for an impressive 600 miles before needing another charge. You hear that? 600-mile range on a full charge that takes only 10 minutes. With these new Chinese batteries, electric vehicles would need to stop for a recharge far less frequently than most models on the road today, and at a much lower cost. China's world dominance in electric vehicle sector, which has dominance. China has world dominance in robotics too, in android robots, in humanoid robots. Amazing. I congratulate them. Let's see, what's this? Oh, that's good. We speaking of robotics, we have another huge breakthrough. This is on YouTube, so. Okay. Fucking geeks. Yeah, go fuck yourself. Well, I always give other people a chance to voice their opinions. I don't interrupt and try to talk over other people. You know, they're welcome. I don't try to dominate somebody else's show or dominate a conversation. I'm willing to hear everybody out. But they have to, when they're finished, they have to be willing to hear a rebuttal. Just like a televised presidential debate. You know, each person, I think, has 3 minutes or whatever. It could be 5 minutes. And then when the alarm, when the bell goes off or the buzzer goes off, you stop. And the other person, you know, since your time has run out, the other person has their chance. But not to completely dominate someone else's show. Yep. Yeah, he's a real asshole when he drinks. When he smokes weed and he doesn't drink, he's very laid back. But you know, with alcohol, he starts fights and he gets nasty with everyone, and then you have to throw him out because you know he can't do that to the host. If it's my show, you know, he's got to be respectful. Paul? Oh, Paul Mantia? I muted him one time because he wouldn't stop shouting. He like took over the whole show. He wouldn't let anybody talk. He wouldn't stop shouting. And I had muted him and he got insulted. You know, it's too bad. This is my show. Then, you know, and you have to make them understand. It's like a dog. Let's say you get I don't know. You get a puppy of like a really tough, strong breed of dog, like a guard dog. It could be any of them. You have to train them. You have to show them who's alpha, who's the boss. Otherwise, they take over the whole house. No, he's very likable, but you gotta rule with an iron hand. That's why sometimes I raise my voice and yell, just to get him to calm down and regain his composure and give someone else a chance to talk. All right. All right. Let me get through this. Okay.
Have you ever gotten close to a human walking on the street only to realize it was a robot? As ludicrous as that sounds, Engine AI just released an update on their latest project to create humanoid robots that mimic our natural gait, and it's jaw-dropping. But before that, we have to talk about the first synthetic AI human with real muscles that blur the lines between us and machines. Clone Robotics is working on a project that could change how we view robots and close the gap between humans and machines. The startup company shared a video on its official YouTube page of a biomimetic android robot with the human's shoulders, neck, and torso, with detailed human anatomical structures like the glenohumeral, scapulothoracic, acromioclavicular, and sternoclavicular joints in place. The stark white robot recreated eerily similar human-like movements with artificial muscles. Under the torso demo, many viewers couldn't help but note how eerily similar the robot looked to something straight out of the American sci-fi series Westworld. The startup company also shared videos of their synthetic hand that, composed of lifelike fingers and wrists, could form a fist and spread its fingers individually. Powered by hydraulic muscles, this robot flawlessly simulated the strength and flexibility of real muscles, giving the eerie feeling of a human hand detached from its body. But as creepy as it might seem, we're closer than ever to having robots that move as seamlessly as real humans. So where slow, precise, and stiff movements would usually be a dead giveaway that you're dealing with a robot, Clone Robotics' hydraulic muscles are making it impossible to tell. CEO Danush Radhakrishnan pointed out that he and his co-founder, Lucas, have been working on this project since 2014. The duo set out to make biomimetic super-intelligent androids and have been relentless in improving the biomechanics and scaling up for production. In an interview with Robotic Reports, Danush highlighted how creating such lifelike human muscles requires solving a lot of problems, like creating multiple functional joints or accounting for the different sizes of muscles and tendons in your hand. The founders were relentless in trying to create artificial muscles and were able to get around these challenges by utilizing hydraulic muscles with valves that use a pump and motor, like in a washing machine. Despite human hands being one of the most complex parts of our anatomy, they decided to start making prototypes, believing hacking would be the most relevant way to solve their problems. Kind of like getting the hardest stuff out of the way first. And that was how they were able to create an actuator with a rubber tube surrounded by a fiber braided sleeve. They also had to make custom bones, valves, muscles, and sensors from scratch so it could work. For context, when you want to move your hand, your brain sends signals to your muscles which cause the fibers to contract and relax, creating flexible and fluid movement. When these muscles cross a joint, they can then cause your fingers to form a pincer grip to pick up your pen or your shoulders to swing when you're playing baseball. This complex organic system is difficult to recreate in robots without muscles or nearly enough joints, which is what makes Clone Robotics' approach so genius. They recreated human-like movement by swapping muscles for fluid-filled cylinders. So whenever the robot receives the signal to move, pressurized fluid within these cylinders forces the pistons to extend or retract, creating a seamless motion that mimics a human hand. Combining these hydraulic systems with sensors allows it to gauge how many pressure it exerts, enabling it to perform complex and delicate movements like humans. At the same time, hydraulic muscles can also exert high levels of force consistently, giving them an edge in lifting heavy loads compared to a human hand. They also aren't subject to the biological constraints that cause fatigue in our hands. Prior to their muscle-like actuators, you could only create human-like robotic movements through classical control with a human wearing a glove that allowed the robot to mimic such movement. But Clone Robotics' artificial muscles are fully autonomous, which has potential use cases in creating better human prosthetics with unmatched levels of mobility and dexterity from what we currently have. However, the company has confirmed that they're committed to making androids first before exploring the possibility of prosthetics. Still, that doesn't mean people living with disabilities would have to wait till we have perfect human-like robots. Once the first few samples become publicly available, other companies could reverse engineer the mechanics behind these clone robotics' lifelike hands and implement that knowledge in making groundbreaking prosthetics. Besides, they could also be helpful in healthcare as robot tools for complex operations where surgeons need fine precision. Even industries like agriculture could benefit from having hydraulic muscle-powered robots complete labor-intensive tasks like harvesting or tilling, which require more precision handling skills. The company's goal is to make low-cost musculoskeletal androids with human-level hands trained to perform all the common labor needed for daily life. So we might have to adapt to a world where these humanoid robots are a regular part of our lives. Right now, Clone Robotics is planning to scale up its manufacturing and enter commercial markets as soon as it creates a compact energy supply. And one of the solutions they're looking at is an electro-hydraulic robot that can run the entire day without charge. As Dinesh puts it, we are not interested in making an android that is going to run like Boston Dynamics Atlas for an hour and then need a recharge. Robot-powered hands that can perform complex surgeries or pick fruits for an entire day without cramping up would instantly cause productivity to shoot up in all sectors, but it would also threaten a lot of jobs. After all, why hire 4 farm hands to work 8-hour shifts when you could buy 1 pair of android hands and a torso? And with Clone Robotics announcing that bimanual training is already in progress, their hydraulic muscles could be available for commercial purchase sooner than you think. When this bimanual training is complete, it means the robot will be able to perform tasks with both hands and could effectively complete complex chores like laundry or washing the dishes without breaking your plates. Well, at least we could turn it off after a hard day's work and leave it on a shelf, right? Not exactly. Like Clone Robotics, other companies are also working towards recreating human-like movement in our lower limbs. The Chinese-based robotics company Engine AI sent shockwaves around the engineering world when they released a video of a human-sized robot with a natural gait. At first glance, this might seem like an unremarkable achievement, especially considering Tesla and other robotics companies have been teasing us with humanoid AI assistants. However, if you've ever seen any of their videos, you've probably noticed the classic clunky, awkward, and mechanical movements the robots have when they're walking across the room, and that's quite understandable. As seamless as it might seem, walking is an incredibly complicated movement that requires several muscles to work together in synergy to prevent you from falling over. Just think about how long it takes babies to learn how to walk properly, or even if you have a sprained toe. Besides, when you consider how difficult it is for screws and bolts to mimic fluid human movement, it's no surprise that even with the right understanding of the biomechanics behind walking, recreating it remained a challenge for robotics companies until now. So how did Engine AI manage to subvert expectations where other robotics companies still struggled? Well, the bulk of it comes down to their innovative end-to-end neural network model. Unlike other humanoid models that rely on a set of pre-programmed instructions to get around like a game avatar, the SE01 prioritizes its sensory input over rigid codes. This difference allows the robot to utilize visual and balanced feedback in real time and adapt its steps according to its environment, like you using your eyes and sensations about your body's position to walk upright. The SE01 uses multiple cameras and gyroscopes to anticipate balance shifts and adjust its foot to produce a human-like gait. Of course, these machines also use AI to process thousands of data sets on human movement, help them learn how to walk. It does this so quickly, lifelike. Throw on a pair of joggers and a hoodie and put this machine on the street, and you might not even be able to tell the difference between it and a real human from behind. Besides building an impressive end-to-end neural network, Engine AI also put a lot of work into designing and making the robots as biochemically accurate as possible. Compared to other humanoid bots that are merely built to match humans in scales like height and weight, the SE01 also has highly realistic limb structures and joint systems. Each leg contains 6 degrees of freedom across the hip, knee, and ankle joints, and 32 degrees across its entire body. It might not sound like much, but these figures go a long way in contributing to its smooth walking pattern. Considering Engine AI also uses a lightweight material like aerospace-grade aluminum alloy, these human-like robots are quite durable and cheap to recreate, which could accelerate the timeline for mass production. And that might be a good thing when we consider their use case across different industries. They could help health workers carry medical equipment or support patients with mobility needs, making healthcare more efficient. Their ability to adapt to different environments could also come in handy on a construction site when performing inspections or other tasks in hazardous areas or on rough terrain. A bulletproof version of the SC-01 or other robots with human-like movement could even be helpful in covert military operations to distract the enemy, while human operatives slip under the shadows. With so many applications across different sectors, it's no surprise that other companies are working towards the same goals. And if we learned anything about AI, it's that it's always rapidly advancing, so it won't be long before other companies crack the code and robots with human-like movements flood the market. Engine AI has also shared its plans to perfect home and industrial applications of the SC-01 by the end of 2024 and produce over 1,000 units in 2025. So, who knows? In a few years, robots with clunky, stiff knees could become as antique as a flip phone. But as impressive as AI with human-like features that can do a fist bump or keep up with you during a marathon is, they don't have to be that complicated to threaten human jobs. One Chinese factory in Dongguan, China, faced some backlash when they fired 90% of their human workforce and replaced them with machines. Before AI technology rolled on the scene, the company needed 650 workers on their production line to assemble mobile phones and other gadgets. But thanks to automated robot arms that can work around the clock, they only needed 60 workers to keep their operations running smoothly, with most of the humans that still have a job being responsible for maintaining the machines. In other words, their employer only keeps them around to service the robots, which essentially diminishes their value in business operations. And with AI,
what you're talking about is skilled employees only, technically high-tech skilled employees, not anybody else. That's the problem.
AI-powered bots becoming more durable and less prone to breakdowns, it's no wonder the company plans to drop its human workforce to a dismal 20. As heartbreaking as that is, it's only bound to get worse, as other factories will eventually follow suit. Unfortunately, China is not isolated in adopting AI technology at the expense of its human workers. Couriernet, a Turkish-owned parcel distribution company, has now become Europe's largest robotics sorting company. With a fleet of over 700 autonomous yellow robots, the company located at the edge of Istanbul processes an impressive 45,000 items per hour. Each robot, similar in size to your home's Roomba vacuum cleaner, takes up only a fifth of the floor space for a modern conveyor system.
They're cute. What do you think, guys? They're cute.
With a 10-kilogram loading capacity, there's no doubt that they're a lot more efficient too. Besides, these mini bots also come in with built-in sensors that reduce the risk of them bumping into each other and creating a workplace hazard. Daria, the manager of operations at Couriernet, said, "Our aim is to become a global brand in the parcel delivery sector. We believe that automation is the key to our success, and we have always been early adopters of pioneering technology and systems." In America, leading robotics companies like Tesla are putting AI bots to work in their factories with a 99.9% performance accuracy. And with plans to launch Optimus Bot in factories in 2025, humanoid robots in the workforce could potentially make things worse. Even considering the high upfront costs that could come with purchasing these machines, for many companies, it's a lot cheaper than human labor in the long run. After all, you have to keep paying wages because unlike their real-life counterparts, humanoid robots don't need to, well, eat or pay rent. Besides, when you consider how these bots can work around the clock without breaks, except for an occasional recharge, it's no wonder their productivity shoots through the roof. And who wouldn't want to tell their stakeholders they made over 200% more in revenue? With so many forward-thinking robotics companies looking to release thousands of humanoid robots in the coming decade, it's entirely possible our android companions could outnumber us. Considering global birth rates have been declining, the UN speculates that our world population is most likely to peak at 9.8 billion by 2025. On the flip side, at the 8th Future Investment Initiative in Saudi Arabia, Tesla founder Elon Musk predicted that there would be 10 billion humanoid robots available for sale in 2040. In other words, AI-powered bots could easily outnumber us by a full decade or even more. That means for every human, there would be at least one synthetic robot that could walk and move just like you. Would we, well, even be able to tell the difference? Or would these bots seamlessly blend into everyday life? How do you think the mass production of synthetic AI with human-like movements will change our society? Will the increased productivity and workplace efficiency be able to outweigh the negative effects of millions of people potentially losing their jobs? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section.
Yeah, amazing. You can't beat science. You can't beat like George Costanza said on Seinfeld. Can't beat it. No stopping science. And well, Tesla's robots are crude compared to the humanoid robots that are coming out of China. You kidding? No comparison. But you saw the beginning of the video. They now have replicated a synthetic version of human muscle, where the robots will start to have human-like movement with the same dexterity in their hands and fingers. All right, let's see what's going on here. That's one of these Zuckerberg videos, huh? I can't control the damn. Here we go. I can't control the fucking video because of Zuckerberg. Okay, hold on. I really can't stand that eagle beak son of a bitch. I really can't stand him. I really can't stand him. Robotomania is running wild. Let me tell you something, brother. Let me tell you something, brother. Fuck. I hate it when, instead of like me bringing the video to the beginning, to the very beginning, I have to let it go to the end and then start playing the first few seconds that I didn't get to play. Really aggravates me.
I like to talk to all the America First fuck nuggets who tell me to cry harder all day long. America First, huh? Is that so? Well, maybe we should talk about the fact that your daddy Donnie is bending over for his daddy Vladdy, you freedom fry fuckwits and Yankee Doodle dipshits. Because the men and women who fought and fucking died to defeat fascism would be losing their goddamn minds if they saw the absolute clown show shit you are pulling right now. They stormed the beaches of Normandy, froze their asses off, and crawled through the fucking Pacific jungle, fighting fascist dictators. And you're out here waving pom-poms for Vladimir fucking Putin like he's your goddamn prom date. Are you fucking serious? Let's make something crystal clear. The greatest generation didn't sacrifice everything so you could turn around and slobber all over the boots of a shirtless, horse-riding dictator wannabe who poisons journalists for fun and invades sovereign nations like it's his goddamned hobby. They didn't fight and bleed to stop Hitler just so you could cozy up to a guy who's basically a modern-day Stalin with fewer mustaches and more nukes. You're not patriots, you're fucking traitors to everything they stood for. And let's not forget the rest of you Putin-loving dipshits who voted for the orange-tinted grifter and his bootlicking brigade. Do you even fucking know what America is supposed to stand for? Or did you trade all that in for a MAGA hat and a Facebook meme about Hunter Biden? Because let me tell you, siding with Putin, the guy who's trying to rebuild the goddamn Soviet Union like it's his personal Lego set, sure as fuck ain't about freedom or patriotism. It's about you being so goddamn stupid and petty, you'd rather burn the whole fucking world down than admit you backed the wrong goddamn horse. Do you think the men who stormed Omaha Beach would be fucking proud of you? Do you think the women who busted their asses in factories building the tanks and planes that crushed fascism would look at you cheering on a dictator and think, wow, what a great fucking legacy we have left behind? No, they wouldn't. They'd be ashamed. They'd look at you cozying up to a goddamn autocrat and wonder why the fuck they even bothered sacrificing everything for a bunch of ungrateful, historically illiterate dipshits who can't even recognize fascism when it's staring them in the fucking face. And let's not kid ourselves, this is not about owning the libs or making America great again. This is about you being so goddamn petty, so fucking ignorant, and you're willing to throw away everything the greatest generation fought for just to feel like you're winning. Newsflash, you're not fucking winning. You're embarrassing yourselves, your country, and the memory of everyone who gave their lives to make sure we sure as shit didn't end up exactly the fuck here. So I'll ask again. Is this making America great? Is this winning? Is this the winning you had in mind? The winning you wanted? Because from where I'm sitting, this looks a lot less like winning and a lot more like you taking a giant steaming shit on the graves of the greatest generation while waving a Russian fucking flag.
Well, even though she has a potty mouth, I agree with her. She has every right to be angry. Let me see. Well, we're getting towards the end. Video currently unavailable. So TikTok censorship is continuing. This was a very deep video, folks. I was really looking forward to playing this. And TikTok gave it the axe. It has to do with the direction that the country and the world is going because of the evil oligarch and how their objective is to control and practically enslave the mainstream population. I mean, to put it all in an oyster shell. TikTok censorship continues. The title was worse than what we imagined. That was the title of the video. Hey, let me see. Let me check this one out about the Federal Reserve. Well, this will play. Federal Reserve. Okay, here we go. Okay. Orange man bad. You know, he makes the word orange and the fruit orange look bad because orange is one of my favorite colors, and an ice cold navel orange is one of the best desserts you can have, really. Ice cold. It's got to be ice cold. Why does everything always go back to World War II when it comes to defending wars? Yeah, well, because they're equating today's fascism of the extreme right wing with the fascism of Nazi Germany. Nazi Germany was bigoted, racist, and no compassion. They didn't like certain people that they considered undesirable. So they're comparing it. It's a comparison. Getting rid of people that are not to your liking. That's kind of what Trump and Elon Musk want to do. Joe Biden could have signed so many more executive orders that he didn't do shit. Yeah, he did do shit. He crapped in his pants in public. Yeah, he did do shit, but not the kind of shit that helped the country. He could have signed so many more executive orders. There's something going on with Joe Biden. Something fishy about that whole situation. And why couldn't his wife, Dr. Jill, and Kamala Harris, and Chuck Schumer, why couldn't they all enter the Oval Office and have a talk with him and pressure him into getting a lot of shit done? So I blame them too. I blame the whole fucking Democrat Party. The whole Democrat Party could have lit a fire under his poopy ass. Now he's back home in Delaware, going bah, 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 bah. There was a World War I, that's right, Kaiser Wilhelm, that's right, that never gets talked about. Trench warfare, mustard gas, chlorine gas, the first use of chemical warfare, right? Yep. Also the beginning of the infamous Spanish flu, which started in the trenches, I think. Didn't start in Spain. Or maybe the first victim was in Spain, victim of the Spanish flu. But yeah. Nobody talks about World War One. Kaiser Wilhelm. World War One started in Serbia. I think the assassination of, was it King Ferdinand? Someone was assassinated, I think. But anyway, there was an incident in Serbia, which used to be the capital of Yugoslavia when it was communist. When Tito, I think it was Tito was the chancellor, or whatever they called himself, the head of Yugoslavia, communist Yugoslavia. Belgrade was the capital, which is still the capital of Serbia. So World War One started in Serbia, but in World War One, Italy was on the side of the Allies. Okay, and unlike the Axis powers of World War II, which would be Germany, Italy, and Japan. The end of the war to end all wars. Yeah, sure. Making the world safe. Yeah, for democracy. Yeah, right. Yeah, sure. How about war profiteering? I know Henry Ford made a fortune during World War II because he built many military vehicles for the United States, the Ford Motor Company. What is Bernie Sanders' greatest accomplishment? Be specific. Fighting for the little guy, doing the best he could against a bunch of evil, greedy, capitalist motherfuckers. Why do I get all the right-wing trolls? The Spanish flu started in the U.S. in Kansas. Yeah. catch you. Have a good week. All right. Let's see. What do we got here? This has to do with the truth about the Fed. They don't want you to know.
F. Kennedy was short-circuiting the New World Order. He had ordered the printing of constitutional money, United States notes, which would have destroyed the Federal Reserve, which is not an agency of the United States government. It's a private corporation owned and operated by the world bankers, controlled by the Illuminati. And its purpose was to destroy the middle class in this country and thus our economy. You see it unfolding now. You are seeing, and I predicted this well in advance, you are seeing the destruction of the economy of the United States. And it will continue. It will not get better. It's downhill from here on out. Unless we nationalize the Federal Reserve, lock up the criminals who own it, cancel the debt, which will then bankrupt the Illuminati, which is exactly what we ought to do, print constitutional money, which cannot be usurped, which cannot lead to our destruction, and go back to what we're supposed to do, and quit contracting for benefits. We're escaping from the laws of nature, and there's a terrible consequence for that. You can't contract for somebody else to keep you alive. You have to be responsible within your life to keep yourself alive. And if you can't do it, then you have to die. That's the law of nature.
This guy sounds like a right-wing motherfucker. Law of nature, huh? Huh. You know what I want to do? Let me listen to this guy again. Now, you know what? That's enough. You know what? Let me just listen to this again. This guy's a prick. Let's listen to this motherfucker. I don't like what he said towards the end.
Kennedy was short-circuiting the New World Order. He had ordered the printing of constitutional money, United States notes, which would have destroyed the Federal Reserve, which is not an agency of the United States government. It's a private corporation owned and operated by the world bankers, controlled by the Illuminati. And its purpose was to destroy the middle class in this country and thus our economy. You see it unfolding now. You are seeing, and I predicted this well in advance, you are seeing the destruction of the economy of the United States. And it will continue. It will not get better. It's downhill from here on out. Unless we nationalize the Federal Reserve, lock up the criminals who own it, cancel the debt, which will then bankrupt the Illuminati, which is exactly what we ought to do, print constitutional money, which cannot be usurped, which cannot lead to our destruction, and go back to what we're supposed to do, and quit contracting for benefits. We're escaping from the laws of nature, and there's a terrible consequence for that. You can't contract for somebody else to keep you alive. You have to be responsible within your life to keep yourself alive. And if you can't do it, then you have to die. That's the law of nature.
You go fuck yourself. White right-wing cocksucker. Okay, here we go. This is the big kahuna, folks. Zelensky in the Oval Office. You ready? Get yourself buckled into your seats. Fasten your seatbelt. We're in for one hell. Okay. Here we go. Hold on. All right. Let me go back to. Let me catch up with the comments. Meets Shieldman 1. Italy switched sides in World War One. Oh, they did? Why they sided with Germany, Kaiser Wilhelm? Or did they start with being on Kaiser Wilhelm's side and then switch to the Allies? Which way did they do it? Yeah, bullshit. Bernie Sanders is the best thing that ever happened to progressive politics. And thank God he created our revolution with all those progressive independents to fight the evils of capitalism, crony capitalism. Nah, that guy looked like a nut. Yeah. Yeah, if you can't keep yourself, you're responsible to keep yourself alive. If you can't do that, then you die. That's the law of nature. Fuck him. Yes. Gold standard. Yep. And make the US dollar worth something once again. You know what? I would use, I mean, personally, I'm not saying they did this, but they might have. I would use Fort Knox as a decoy and have the gold somewhere else, like classified information, classified secret location, underground somewhere. But have only a certain, like a few top upper echelon government people know the whereabouts of it. Really keep it a secret, but have all of the US gold, whatever, silver, gold bars, whatever, have all that precious metal representing and owned by the United States, have it secretly somewhere else, but have it in an underground vault and use Fort Knox as a decoy and just have it there for tourists to come by and say, oh, look, take a photo of me in front of Fort Knox, but not have the gold there. That's what I would do. I think Elon's a fucking piece of shit and scumbag. And all I say is, Luigi's my hero. And I'll leave it at that. And I hope there are many more Luigis out there. And don't be surprised if we don't have a second civil war someday in the United States. Because I would love to take out right-wing people. All right. It's better than sex, concerned citizen, better than sex. Okay, here we go. Are you ready? We're going to see two corrupt scumbag bullies, right-wing capitalist bullies, and a traitor representing Vladimir Putin pick on Zelensky.
Maybe one,
Maybe something like this.
something like
Yes.
yours, yes.
That'd be great.
Maybe something better. I don't know. We will see. Maybe something cheaper. That yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, President Trump. You said yesterday that you have.
Are you going to send more arms to Ukraine in case there's no peace?
Yeah, we're going to have arms to Ukraine. Yeah, sure. Hopefully, I won't have to send very much because hopefully we're going to have it finished. We're looking forward to finishing this quickly. We're not looking forward to sending a lot of arms. We're looking forward to getting the war finished so we can do other things. But we very much appreciate the agreement because we needed what they had. And we're treating, our country is now treated fairly. Biden didn't do that. He didn't know what the hell he was doing. This should have never happened. This should have never started. But, sure, the answer is yes. But hopefully we won't have to send much because I'm looking forward to getting it done.
Who could have thought that this simple ear trick could help fight off dementia? Did you know that memory loss is not a condition of the mind? Most people don't know this, but the real reason behind Alzheimer's and dementia has less to do with age, lifestyle, or genetics than we first thought. Here's the problem.
Quickly, very quickly.
Does that mean you provide security guarantees, Mr. President?
I don't want to talk about security yet because I want to get the deal done. You fall into the same trap like everybody else. A million times you say it over and over. I want to get the deal done. Security is so easy. That's about 2% of the problem. I'm not worried about security. I'm worried about getting the deal done. The security is the easy part. Security is very nice. Everybody stopped shooting. And now will Europe put people there? I know France is going to. I know the UK is going to. I know other countries are going to, and they happen to be right next door. We haven't committed, but we could conceivably, we have security in a different form. We'll have workers there digging, taking the raw earth so that we can create a lot of great product in this country. So in that sense, you have something, but we haven't determined that yet. I will say, in speaking to France and in speaking to, and they were here, as you know, last week and just the other day, they have committed to a lot of security. I don't think you're going to need much security. I think once this deal gets done, it's over. Russia's not going to want to go back, and nobody's going to want to go back. When this deal ends, I really believe this deal is going to be over. Yeah, please go ahead. Go ahead.
Mr. President, thank you. You hosted Macron and Keir Starmer at the White House this past week, both of whom praised your courage and conviction to lead the pathway towards peace.
Yes.
Part of that involved, though, re-engaging in Russia in diplomatic relations, something that previous leaders lacked the conviction to do so. What gave you the moral courage and conviction to step forward and lead that?
Well, I love this guy. Who are you with?
One American News, sir.
Well, that's why I like him. One American News does a great job. I like the question. I think it's a very good question. It's a pathway to peace. It's a pathway to getting something solved. And I feel that as the head of this country, I have an obligation to do that. Plus, we're very much involved. We got involved. It's too bad we got involved because there should have been no involvement because there should have been no war. And there shouldn't have been October 7th. That would have never happened. As you know, Iran was broke. They had no money to give to Hezbollah. They had no money to give to Hamas. They were stone cold broke. And then under Biden, they became rich as hell. They went from no money to $300 billion in a period of 4 years. And they gave a lot of that money away. And you see what happened. And that's a real mess also that we hope to be able to solve. But no, I appreciate your question very much. I feel I have an obligation to try and do something to stop the death.
If I can answer, yes, if I can answer, sorry, please. please.
And I do like your clothing, by the way.
Yeah, really?
Even though I think he's a
Yeah,
great guy,
yeah.
by the way. I don't know if you two like each other, but you know what? I think
No,
I think he's
I
dressed
like this guy. I don't know
I think
yet.
he's dressed beautiful.
So I have more serious things than answer on such
That's
questions.
true. That's a
I will
good-
answer on more serious
good
questions if
statement.
I can.
Yes.
Yeah. So please, about security guarantees and about just ceasefire. We can't just speak about ceasefire and speak and speak. It will not work. Just ceasefire will not never work because I'm like a president. I have this experience, and not only me. Ukraine before my presidency, from the 2014, Putin broken 25 times. 25 times he broken his own signature. 25 times he broken ceasefire.
But he never broke to me. He never broke
No,
to
no,
me.
you were the president.
He
You
never
were the
broke-
president
he
during.
never broke to me.
In 2016, you've been the president, Mr. President. You've been the president, but he had, of course, not with you, but he had during those period, he had conversations with our side. And we had Normandy format, the France, Germany, Ukraine, and Russia. And he broken 25 times. That's why we will never accept just ceasefire. It will not work without security guarantees. Security guarantees, maybe President is right about this document and other, but this document is not enough. Strong army is enough because his soldiers afraid, Putin's soldiers afraid of our soldiers when we're strong enough. If we are not strong enough, if we are empty, if our storage is empty, we can't defend our land. Today, he knows that we have all the world knows that we have meeting. Yes, why he's using ballistic? Putin today using ballistic on our hospitals, schools, and etc. Ballistic. So he knows that we are here and that President Trump is really have goodwill to stop this war. And you hear now the president. So why he's using? So he doesn't want to stop. He doesn't want. But I hope that we will do it. Really, we'll do it. Security. When we speak about security guarantees, when the Europeans are ready for contingents, they need USA backstop. If there will not be United States, we will not never have any contingents, strong contingents from the Europeans, because they don't want to divide alliance connection between the United States and the main and strongest ally and Europeans. This is crucial. This is important. That's what we want to speak about very much. This is very important. And they are defense.
If you're unsure or unaware of your eyeglass prescription, or if your prescription changes frequently due to nearsightedness or farsightedness.
So, air defense, really.
Okay, this is a long one. I don't think I'm going to finish this. This video is 31 minutes and 1 second. So what I'll do is I'll let it run, and I'll send a link to my co-host and see if he's around, Paul Anthony Mantia, and when he shows up, I'll just end this video and play it. I don't know. I wish it showed the highlights of an argument between, maybe I could fast forward it. Hold on. Let me see if I could fast forward this. Let's see. All right, I sent the link to Paul Anthony Mantia. Okay. All right, I'll just let it run.
We have big deficit with all these systems, and we need to provide this. We need it very much. Otherwise, Putin will never stop, and will go further and further. He doesn't want. He hates us. It's not about me. He hates Ukrainians. He thinks that we are not a nation. he thinks, and he shared these thoughts, I think maybe with your team also, I don't know, but with all the Europeans in media, officially and not, he always said that there is no such country, such nation, such language, and such life like Ukrainian. No, he really doesn't respect all the Ukrainians, and he wants to destroy us. And you are right, Mr. President, that's 2%. This document, maybe other documents, it's a very good start, very good, but it will not enough to stop this person.
Should Russia change or rebuild Ukraine?
Mr. President, under these circumstances,
Should Russia change or rebuild Ukraine?
They have to say this question. This is the rule. This is the rule of the war. This is the rule of the war. During all the centuries, all the history, this is the rule of the war.
Oh, congratulations, Brian Souk. I'm very happy to hear the good news, all right? Very happy. Thank God. I've been doing daily rituals, mysticism and prayer combined for all of my good friends to send them blessings, my good friends and close family members. So I've been doing this ritual every day that I've been performing, and hopefully, actually, I got good news from another close friend of mine today. So you're the second person I know that has had good news to tell me. So I'm very happy. Maybe the blessings of combining mysticism with Catholicism, maybe it's working.
Who began those pay? This is the rule. Putin began this war. He has to pay all money for innovation. He has to pay. Of course, some Russian assets, what we have in Europe, about 300 billion, we can use them. We can use for innovation and buy military support from the United States also. We can do it, but it's not enough. It's not enough.
Do you envision the trilateral summit with Putin and President Zelensky?
Wait, 1 second.
I asked this question that you didn't like because I wanted to know if you want to position yourself in the middle between Russia and Ukraine or on the Ukraine's.
No, I'm in the middle. I want to solve this thing. I'm for both. I want to get it solved. And it's wonderful to speak badly about somebody else, but I want to get it solved. If we can solve it, great. If we can't solve it, they're going to have to fight it out, and who knows what's going to happen. But I want to see it get solved.
May I follow up? One more question about U.S. troops in Europe. After Russian invasion of Ukraine, your predecessor sent additional troops to Eastern Europe, including Poland, my country.
Yeah.
Are you committed to keeping these troops on the eastern flank of NATO in the future?
I'm very committed to Poland. I think Poland has really stepped up and done a great job for NATO. They, as you know, they paid more than they had to. They are one of the finest groups of people I've ever known. I'm very committed to Poland.
What about Baltics?
Poland's in a tough neighborhood, you know.
What about the Baltics?
The Baltics.
I want to buy your house. I can pay you cash for your house, no matter what condition it's in. If you need to sell your house for any reason, click the button under this video to see if my offer is right for you.
They got a lot of. It's a tough neighborhood too, but we're committed. We're going to be very committed, and we're committed to NATO. But NATO has to step up, and the Europeans have to step up more than they have. And I want to see them equalize because they are in for far less than we're in, and they should be at least equal. You understand that? Why is the United States? We have an ocean in between. Why is the United States in for so much more money and other things as Europe? With that being said, and as you said, they've also been obviously very helpful, but we have put in far more than they have. And I think they should equalize.
Mr. President,
Please, go ahead.
About the agreement again today, what changed between the first time that Secretary Bessent gave President Zelensky the agreement and today for the signing?
We made a deal. So
what was the
I'm a business person. We made a deal. That's what changed. I didn't think we were going to make a deal. And we ended up making the deal, so that changed.
Mr. President, how do you envision a trilateral summit with President Zelensky and Putin?
I don't know, but well, they don't like each other. I can tell you that. Okay? They do not like each other. This is not a love match, and it's unfortunate. That's why you're in this situation. The United States should not have allowed this to happen. Okay? The United States, run by a man that didn't know much. I'm going to be very nice. Run by an incompetent person, very incompetent person, should never have allowed this to happen. I've stopped wars. I've stopped many wars. My people will tell you, I stopped wars that nobody ever heard about. I stopped wars before they ever started. You can look at some of, I could give you a lot of nations that would tell you right now they were probably going to war. I could tell you right now there's a nation thinking about going to war on something that nobody in this room has ever even heard about. Two smaller nations, but big, still big. And I think I've stopped it. But this should have never happened.
Mr. President?
About sorry, just a second. About any negotiations. First of all, I want really to tell you, and I think that everybody understands that Ukraine, more than Ukrainians, nobody wants to stop this war. But at the future, any negotiations, it's understandable that two sides of the war, not Russia and the United States, because this is not the war between Russia and the United States. This is war of Russia against Ukraine and Ukrainian people. So these two sides will be at the will be at the negotiation table. Then of course United States, like the strongest partner of the Ukraine, and of course Europe. I think Europe is very important. I want to speak about it with the president. Yes, Europe is very important for us because we really defend Europe for today. All Europeans really recognize that we are defending the line and they have real life and our people are dying. That's why they helped us. And also it's about the NATO. Yes, between, like the president said, you have big, nice ocean. Yes, between us. But if we will not stay, Russia will go further to Baltics and to Poland, by the way. But first to the Baltics. It's understandable for them because they've been in the USSR. You know, they've been one of the republics of the USSR, and Putin wants to bring them back to his empire. It's a fact. And when he will go there, if we will not stay, you will fight. Your American soldiers. It doesn't matter. Do you have ocean or not? Your soldiers will fight.
Mr. President, would you be willing to visit Ukraine, maybe Kiev or Odessa, which is going to be a 30-year-old Black Sea?
It was my question.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I don't want to talk about Odessa now. Let's not talk about Odessa. I want to talk about making a deal, getting peace. We don't have to talk about Odessa, but a lot of cities have been destroyed. A lot of cities that are not recognizable. There's not a building standing.
No,
and a lot of
things. Mr. President, you have to come and to look. No. We have very good cities. Yes, a lot of things have been destroyed, but mostly cities alive and people work and children go to school. Sometimes it's very difficult. Sometimes closer to front line, children have to go to underground schools or online, but we live. Ukraine is fighting and Ukraine lives. This is very important. And maybe it's Putin is sharing this information that he destroyed us. No, he lost 700,000 people, 700,000 soldiers. He lost everything. Yes. So,
Mr. President,
one more.
Please, go ahead.
When did you last speak with President Putin? And what did he say that?
A couple of days ago.
And what did he tell you that gave you the assurance that he wanted peace?
Well, that's what I do. My whole life is deals. I know pretty good. And I've known him for a long time. I've dealt with him for a long time. He had to suffer through the Russia hoax. You know, Russia was a hoax. It was all Biden. It was nothing to do with him. So he had to suffer through that, and he was able to do that. I think that he wants to make a deal, and he'd like to see it end. That's all I do. That's what I do. My whole life, that's what I do is make deals. And I'm in the middle of a mess because this is a real mess. It's a very dangerous one. If this doesn't get solved now, it's not going to get solved for a long time. So I hope we're going to get it solved. In the back, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Prime Minister Starmer claims repeatedly that his government believes in free speech and was not engaged in censorship. But his country's government arrests people for memes and thought crimes, and even more worrisome is pressuring American companies to censor Americans on its behalf. How can he be a reliable, trustworthy partner when he says things that are demonstrably false on such an important topic?
Well, we actually spoke to him about that yesterday, and we thought they took it very, very much too far. JD was very strong on it. So was I. So was Marco. And we've been speaking to him about it. Marco, would you like to say something about that?
We have concerns, obviously, with the conduct of theirs, particularly as it impacts Americans. And there's real concern that American speech, which is online, could fall into the hands of British or any country's jurisdiction. And so this is a point the Vice President made at Munich, and I think it's a very compelling one that what unites us with Europe, as much as anything else, is these shared values, and one of them being free speech. And so if Americans are threatened by it, we're going to need to take action in that regard.
Watch what castor oil does to your liver.
Even though it sounds like one of those old-timey kind of remedies, castor oil is actually awesome stuff. So castor oil comes from the seeds of the castor.
It's actually a very important question.
We spoke about this in detail with the Prime Minister, the Foreign Secretary, and others at lunch yesterday. And I know that Secretary of Commerce Lutnick followed up in private meetings last night. This is really important. We believe Americans have the right to speak their mind, even if we in this room disagree with them. They have the right to speak their mind in the public square, which is often online these days. And we're going to defend that right as it pertains to American companies and American citizens vigorously if we have to. I do think that under the president's leadership, we're going to find common ground with our friends in the UK on this question, but it remains to be seen. The principle that will guide us is we believe in free speech in this country and we'll fight for it for American citizens.
Mr. President, on the deal, is there any other oil and gas component to the deal? Is it all critical?
A little bit. We'll see.
On LNG?
But we're not really looking for that so much. We got a lot. We have more than anybody in the world by far. So no, we're not talking about it too much, but a little bit. I think it affects also, but for the most part, no.
And sir, is there any agreement from Ukraine to purchase U.S. LNG as part of the deal, or is that on the table?
No, we don't need that.
Mr. President, I just wanted to ask you about it. You just mentioned that you guys spoken to Vladimir Putin a couple of days ago. Just to be clear, that's a new call, not the one that you.
I've spoken to him on numerous occasions.
Okay. How was the latest call? What did you discuss? How did it go?
Are you serious with that question? It went well. I think we're going to have a deal.
On the minerals deal, Mr. President, some of those minerals are in the east of Ukraine, not far from the front lines and in areas that Russia has occupied. Will you direct President Putin to withdraw his forces from those areas if there's U.S. interest?
Well, we'll take a look at the time. We have a lot of area. It's a very big area we're talking about. So we'll take a look. I'll study that and I'll see.
And who would protect those minerals if they are U.S. interests? Would that be Ukrainian
They'll
forces?
be protected. The agreement will protect them.
US
The
forces?
agreement, yeah, we're signing an agreement. You know?
Right, but what if Russia tries to invade or Russian aggression in response?
I just told you, I don't think that's going to happen. And if that were going to happen, I wouldn't make a deal. If I thought that was going to happen, I wouldn't make a deal.
Some people may wonder why.
You know, they ought to focus on CNN on survival, not asking me these ridiculous questions. Focus on surviving, because CNN's got such a thing they're going to survive. Let's go. Please.
Since I already mentioned Poland. Poland was under Russian control for decades after the Second World War. When I was a kid, I looked at the United States not only as a most powerful country, richest country in the world, the country that has great music, great movies, great muscle cars, but also as a force for good. And now I'm talking with my friends in Poland, and they are worried that you align yourself too much with Putin. What's your message for them?
Well, if I didn't align myself with both of them, you'd never have a deal. You want me to say really terrible things about Putin and then say, "Hi, Vladimir, how are we doing on the deal?" That doesn't work that way. I'm not aligned with Putin. I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm aligned with the United States of America. And for the good of the world, I'm aligned with the world. And I want to get this thing over with. You see the hatred he's got for Putin. It's very tough for me to make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous hatred. And I understand that. But I can tell you the other side is exactly in love with him either. So it's not a question of alignment. I'm aligned with the world. I want to get the thing set. I'm aligned with Europe. I want to see if we can get this thing done. You want me to be tough? I could be tougher than any human being you've ever seen. I'd be so tough, but you're never going to get a deal that way. So that's the way it goes. All right, one more question.
Hey, I would respond to this. So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the president of the United States' words mattered more than the president of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact
2015.
2014.
2014 and
2014.
Yeah. So
I
he killed.
was not here.
Yeah, but yes, but during 2014 till 2022, yeah, the situation the same. The people are been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him. Me, like a new president in 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel. We signed ceasefire. Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed him with gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come to the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Come one.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military? And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems, even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless. God bless. You will not have war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly
this. You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. Right now, you don't. You're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country.
Germans have figured out a way to increase water pressure by 15 times without using any energy.
To you, far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once this
A lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
No, in this
Even
entire meeting, have
today,
you said thank
even
you?
today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war, you
He's
can...
not speaking loudly. He's not
Yeah.
speaking loudly. Your country's
Can I-
in big
can I-
trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No.
Can
You've
I
done a lot
answer?
of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not
I
winning.
know.
You're not winning this.
I
You have a damn
We-
good chance of
we are
coming out
staying,
okay because of
Mr.
us.
President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks.
You haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this
We
cabinet.
gave you through
I
this
said thank
stupid president $350 billion.
You voted
We gave
for
you
your
military equipment,
You
and you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave, but they had to use our military.
What about
If you didn't have
You
our
invited
military
me-
equipment,
You invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak.
have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3
okay?
days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days, this is something
Maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks, of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this. I
Again,
tell you.
just say thank you.
I said a lot of
except
times
that
thank
there,
you
except
to
that,
American people.
except that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on.
I understand, sir.
I think it's very important. That's why I kept this going so long. You have to be thankful. You don't have the
I'm
cards.
thankful.
You're buried there. Your people are dying.
tell you
You're
again,
running
I
low
know.
on soldiers.
Don't-
Listen,
don't, please,
you're running
Mr.
low
President.
on soldiers. It would be a damn good thing.
Mr.
And then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go and I want this. Look, if you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course, we want to stop the war.
But you're saying you don't want a
but
ceasefire.
I said to you,
I want a ceasefire.
with guarantees.
Because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't
doesn't
with
matter
me.
for you what-
That
what
wasn't
is-
with me.
It
That was
wasn't
with
with you.
a guy named Biden, who was not a smart person.
This
That
is
was
your,
with,
this
that was
is
with
your
Obama.
president. It was your president.
Excuse me. That was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. You got to be more thankful, because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards. But without us, you don't have any cards.
One more question to Mr. Vice President. I'm sorry.
It's going to be a tough deal to make,
Um,
because the attitudes have to change.
What if Russia breaks ceasefire? What if Russia breaks peace talks? What do you do then? I understand that it's a heated conversation right
What are
now.
you saying?
She's asking, what if Russia breaks the ceasefire?
What if anything? What if a bomb drops on your head right now? Okay? What if they broke it? I don't know. They broke it with Biden because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. They respect me. Let me tell you, Putin went through a hell of a lot with me. He went through a phony witch hunt where they used him and Russia. You ever hear of that deal? That was a phony Hunter Biden, Joe Biden scam. Hillary Clinton, Shifty Adam Schiff. It was a Democrat scam. And he had to go through that. And he did go through it. We didn't end up in a war. And he went through it. He was accused of all that stuff. He had nothing to do with it. It came out of Hunter Biden's bathroom. It came out of Hunter Biden's bedroom. It was disgusting. And then they said, oh, the laptop from hell was made by Russia, the 51 agents. The whole thing was a scam. And he had to put up with that. He was being accused of all that stuff. All I can say is this. He might have broken deals with Obama and Bush, and he might have broken them with Biden. He did, maybe. Maybe he didn't. I don't know what happened. But he didn't break them with me. He wants to make a deal. I don't know if you can make a deal. The problem is I've empowered you to be a tough guy. And I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States. And your people are very brave. But you're either going to make a deal or we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight it out. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but you'll fight it out. But you don't have the cards. But once we sign that deal, you're in a much better position. But you're not acting at all thankful. And that's not a nice thing. I'll be honest, that's not a nice thing. All right, I think we've seen enough. What do you think? Huh? This is going to be great television. I will say that. All right, we'll see what we can do about putting. We'll see. I don't know. All right, guys, come on. Wait, come on. Guys, come on. Thank you.
Nah. Zelensky has a lot of cards. The Ukrainians have been kicking ass, to say the least. But it's true. They're kicking ass with United States military supplies and weapons. But he just he wants Zelensky to kowtow to Vladimir Putin, his buddy, and Zelensky's not doing it. So that's probably why he got him and Vance became irate. Zelensky was telling the truth about Vladimir Putin, that he can't be trusted. And he has a history, a reputation for not being trusted in any way, shape, or form. And he was telling the truth. So because that's Donald Trump's buddy, you can see, obviously, I played the whole video because I don't know where Paul is. I sent him a message. Let me see if he contacted me. Otherwise, I'm just gonna yeah, I don't know where Paul is. So I'm gonna end the show early, I guess. Well, yeah. Yeah, I guess it is early. What is it? It's 10:22 Eastern time. The Yankees have been doing pretty good in spring training. All right, let me see if I got a message from Paul Moore. Well, so anyone out there in Twitch land and YouTube land that wants to bring up a topic, ask a question, could be any subject at all. Bring it up now. Otherwise, I am going to close the show a little early and watch WWE pay-per-view Elimination Chamber on Daily Motion for free. if I go on, I'll see how I feel. It won't be political, so no one will be interrupting anyone. The Federal Reserve video is interesting. Because you were cutting me off like a madman last Saturday. Plus, you were talking, complaining during each video I was playing. All right. Okay, Concerned Citizen says, do you think we should maintain control of the Panama Canal? Considering the fact that they're ripping people off to have their container ships go through there? I don't care who controls it. I'm not a fan of the Panama Canal. Not since they're fucking China over with their container ships, you know. I think Mexico has a great idea. They have a system where they're going to try to get the container ships to dock off of Mexico and then use trains to transport the goods. I think that's a better idea. Yeah, you insulted Paul and he left. Then you insulted Jordy and he left. Then you had a grouchy attitude for the rest of the night. Period. I told you, no liquor, just cannabis. You just have to be more considerate of other people's feelings and opinions, even though you do not agree with them. But Jordy does have an extremely short attention span. Extremely short. Okay. All right. That's it. Oh, here's another one. Hold on. Well, at least you're here. At least you're posing questions. What is your opinion on mass deportation? Well, you asked me that once. I agree wholeheartedly with mass deportation as long as they are detaining and deporting real illegal immigrants, illegal, without proper documentation, of course, and immigrants that have committed crimes in this country. I agree 100%. I think it must happen. It is happening, and the United States is in huge trouble because of open borders, what it caused. And I am 100% for it. I think there's no other way around it. I think open borders was a huge neoliberal dumbass mistake that should have never happened. Should have never happened. And I think that many of the hundreds of U.S. military bases should be closed around the world to save taxpayers' money and not to occupy other countries, but to bring those troops home to finish the wall. Not that walls are 100%. They're not, because the cartel is filthy rich, and they build tunnels, and some of those tunnels are modern with all the comforts of life. You know what I mean? And they have built tunnels under the wall. So, and there are ways of climbing the wall, but walls do slow things down quite a bit. They're not perfect, but they do slow things down. So I think the wall is necessary. Of course, you can't build a wall in treacherous mountain ranges that separate the United States and Mexico. You don't need to. You know, there's wolves, there's black bears, there's mountain lions, there's jaguars now. Yeah, there's jaguars now in those mountain ranges. And plus they're mountain ranges. So you don't have to worry about a wall. But walls work, but to a certain extent. Now, the mass deportation is crucial. It's very important, especially the illegals and the criminal-minded illegals, the gang members, you know, from Central America or from Venezuela in particular. Now, on the other hand, I don't want to see right-wing racists running ICE. Let's say the guy that runs ICE happens to be a right-wing racist, and he tells people to detain everybody with brown skin, even if they're not illegal. Like they detained Puerto Ricans that are American citizens. Yes, they're born American citizens, and just because they were speaking Spanish and they looked Latino, ICE made a huge mistake. I'm sure they did not ask for their papers, their documentation. I'm sure they arrested them immediately because they were profiling, racial profiling. So I know that was a long-winded reply to your mass deportation question on my opinion. Yes, where are the panelists? I don't. Well, I'm discussing. I'm chatting with one of them right now, but we're having a personal conversation about a personal issue right now. I don't know where Paul is. I could send one to Jordy. I mean, he got upset last week because of Ronnie, but let me see if he'll come on. Ugh. You know, a lot of these people I know, they're not into deep intellectual subjects. They're into frivolous fun. They want to hang out and get buzzed and party, and they're not. they're not deep thinkers. Unfortunately, they're like typical average Americans that didn't even bother to vote in November. I mean, I don't care I don't care if you are an asshole and an idiot and just a complete moron. It's your duty as an American citizen, out of respect for the Constitution and you and which comes with an American's privilege to vote. Your right to vote is a privilege that people should be thankful they're living in a country where they can vote. And I don't care who you like. I don't care who you want to vote for. I think the important thing is that you should vote. I don't care if you write it in Elmer Fudd. Just vote. But tens of millions of people did not vote. And that is a sad situation because every 4 years, more and more Americans do not vote. All right. If you see this, it's only you and me. No one else is here. I'm trying to get Paul. All right. I just sent a link to Ronnie from, not Ronnie, I'm sorry, to Geordie from Scotland. Geordie from Scotland to see. Hold on, I'll be right with you. Okay. Describe your thoughts on the civil rights movement of the 1960s. Well, it was necessary, but the problem is once the civil rights laws went into effect, many of them got very cocky and arrogant about it and started acting entitled and starting demanding things and above and beyond what other Americans were already getting as Americans, above and beyond Asian Americans, above and beyond Latino Americans, above and beyond the greatest Americans of all, which are indigenous people, Native Americans. So this group that the African Americans that after the civil rights movement, some of them became very demanding and very arrogant about the whole thing. And that part I don't like. Everyone should be treated equal. No lobbying group is better than the other. No group should be receiving special treatment. Okay? What am I, a fucking lawyer? How the hell do I know which laws went into effect? You busted my balls now, man. You know, you busted my balls. Don't make me throw you out and block you. Which laws went into effect? I got to tell Ronnie about this. Concerned citizen asked me what my take was on the civil rights movement of the 1960s. And then after I told him, after I gave him my opinion and went into detail, he's asking me, describe specifically which laws went into effect. I said, how the fuck do I know which laws went into effect? What am I? Am I in a Ivy League university classroom here? Am I studying for a big exam? What laws went into effect? What is this, fucking law school? Unbelievable what laws went into effect. Look it up on Google. Go to Google and type it in. Don't bust my balls about it. What laws went into effect. Wise guy. You're a wise guy, man. You're a wise guy. Where is your location, my dear? Period. I'm in northeastern New Jersey. Okay. Well, that's it. I waited and waited and waited and waited. Okay. Daryl Messias is here from Northern California. Haven't seen you and your wife in a long time. Hey James, just watched. Don't tell me anything. I'm gonna watch it as soon as I close the show on Daily Motion app. Just watched the Elimination Chamber. It was a good one. You should enjoy it. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. I just want to tell you, I've been drinking. It's not Yellowtail. It's this Italian winery. It's imported, but it's Pinot Noir. It's very good. I should have brought the bottle out here. Pinot Noir is the grape that contains the most antioxidant power of all the grapes. Transresveratrol and oligomeric proanthocyanidins. That's right. OPC. The polyphenols. And this is the glass that I told Ronald J. Theriot where to buy one for himself, the Dollar Tree. He's got one too. Nice, thick, heavy-duty glass. All right, beautiful design for $1. Nice frequency, right? Ah. Serenaded Swan. Yes, this is live, but you caught the very tail end. I mean, within seconds of me closing the show. I started 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and it is now. The show is now 2 hours and almost 2 hours and 43 minutes. So you missed it. Are you from Twitch or YouTube? That's first I got to find out if you're a troll or not, because I get a lot of right-wing trolls coming on to aggravate me. Now, for you to ask me if this is live, I just want you to notice that up in the corner, you'll see the word live, which means I'm live. But it's not pre-recorded, because if it was pre-recorded, I wouldn't be acknowledging you in the comment section by name. Ipso facto ergo. Okay, maybe we're on a roll. Anyone out there in Twitch land or YouTube have any topics or any questions you want to bring up? Even if it's something personal, like, you know, if it's a problem in your relationship, you know, dating or husband or wife, I'm very good at giving advice of all kinds. I know a lot of things about a lot of different topics. And human psychology, I'm pretty aware of. I'm very well read on that. How about the Inflation Reduction Act to be specified on how it lowered inflation? You want to lower inflation? Tax the rich and take the burden off the middle class. And you'll see the economy skyrocket. Infrastructure will be completed and updated. The healthcare system, everything will be updated. Everything will be booming. I don't know the specifics on the Inflation Reduction Act because if it wasn't designed by progressives, I have no interest in it. In other words, if it wasn't designed by people like Bernie Sanders, I don't care to read it because I don't trust establishment, corporate whore, oligarch-controlled politicians. Deep red is my favorite color. Goo-goots. Oh. Oh, what's this? Let's see. Trying to find all right. Okay. All right, let's see what we got here. Okay, that's it. Thank you, everyone. Oh, there's another one. Concerned citizen is now going to bust my balls about Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is a millionaire. Look it up. What do you think about that? Everybody in Washington is wealthy. Everybody in Washington is wealthy. Now we got a whole load of new viewers, but it's at the tail end of my show. You missed it all. Hey, Mick, nobody's here. I'm still live stream. You want to come on? I played that video of Zelensky in the Oval Office. I played the whole thing. It was a half hour long. we can give our take on it. Now, I want to see if I can get my real right-hand man, my progressive buddy, very dedicated and devoted progressive, the one and only Mick Von Raven from Chicago, Illinois. I'm going to see if I can see if he'll come on. I'm finally able to afford health insurance. Well, if you have either a Medicare card or a Medicaid card, you have to choose a health insurance policy. It could be from any of the established health insurance companies. It could be Horizon, Blue Cross and Blue Balls, whatever. It could be Air, it could be Aetna, whatever you want, and you pick one. But if you got a raise, and if you're a full-timer where you are now, in a company like that, you probably were offered good benefits, a good health insurance policy from your employer. Is that what happened? What? Oh no, there's a lot more, sir. There's a lot more. I could see from my end. Don't go by the comments section. We got a whole bunch of people watching. Ugh, what's he doing, bro? Doesn't he read his friggin'? I send a link to these people and they're like, what the fuck is going on, man? Let me see if he gets this. Mick Von Raven. Huh. Okay. That's not what I see from my end. YouTube can say anything they want. I'm not only on YouTube. I'm live streaming on Twitch also. Two platforms. Not just YouTube. What are you trying to troll me there, Brian? Are you really Brian? Concerned citizen, Brian, you know what I think? I don't know, man. One of you guys could be my arch nemesis, Red Rooster. The guy that flipped out because I told him off a long time ago. We had an argument about cheese. It was over cheese in a dictatorship group on Facebook called Honest Craft Beer Reviews. It wasn't honest because if you gave your honest opinion and they didn't like what you said, they threatened to throw you off. So it couldn't be that honest. So anyway, we had an argument over cheese. I said that processed cheese is not real cheese. American American, Velveeta, Cheese Whiz, possibly Monterey Jack. I don't know for sure. They're processed. It's not real cheese. And he went off because he's a dumbass Marine. He went off saying, "Oh, I love Velveeta. Velveeta is the best. It's the greatest." I said, "You're out of your fucking mind. You're out of your fucking mind." Look, the number of viewers just went up. Even more so. I'm telling you. Don't go by YouTube alone. I'm on Twitch also. It's shooting up. That the other guy is always, I notice he's always picking on Bernie Sanders because he knows Bernie Sanders is the premier left-wing progressive politician that has a high status in Washington. He's a United States Senator, and he targets Bernie because he knows that Bernie represents all of us democratic socialists, all of us left-wing people. And you know what? And there's a lot more where he came from because he created our revolution. There are multitudes of very smart, qualified, younger, progressive politicians, democratic socialists, just ready to join the fight. Okay, and then there's another organization that I love called the Democratic Socialists of America, and I think there's two of them: U.S. Democratic Socialists and Democratic Socialists of America. Yeah, not God bless the United States government. They're corrupt and controlled by the oligarch. They're pieces of shit. God bless our military, because our military is made up of people from all walks of life, middle-class families, poor families, minority families, men, women. You know, they're part of the mainstream. But the elitists, they're demons. They're no good scumbags, pieces of shit, and they always was, and they always will be. This to the patriots. This hardworking, yeah. Being a slave to the man, kissing the ass of a corporate CEO. Becoming upper management, going on salary and ending up working for free. You know, no overtime pay. Yeah. Hardworking. If the job market was good, along with the economy, then I would say there's plenty of opportunity for hardworking Americans, but I wouldn't say patriots. Patriot is an overused word for a right-wing, flag-waving, right-wing fascist stormtrooper of the new extremist Republican Party. They use the word patriot now. Yeah, the MAGA folks. So you could be a MAGA saboteur coming into my show. Ah. You dig where I'm coming from, man? All right. Nothing. Where the fuck is everybody? Question mark. I had to say that because I put the link on Mick Von Raven's private Facebook Messenger chat group. And I even let it ring a few times to get his attention. Oh, you know what? All right, let me just double check with TikTok and see if any of these jabronis, see if he said anything. Okay. Where's my exclamation point? Oh, the fucker. All right, that's it. I'm done. I'm done. Thank you, everyone. Hold on. One last before I get the hell out of here and relax and have something to eat and take my evening nutritional supplements and watch pro wrestling. How about the coal miners left behind by the Democrats? Yeah, sure. You know who leaves coal miners behind? You know who tried to, you know who ordered the attack on the coal miners? It was Republicans that way back in the day. They're the ones responsible for that. Because I think the coal miners went on strike. But if it was up to me, first of all, and I think it's happening, more industries are unionizing. So my idea is to unionize every industry, even retail, and for the unions to be militant. So when the boys go on strike, in case the corporate CEO piece of shit tries to hire some goons, then we have ourselves a war. Nice shillelagh right across the skull. Boom. How does that feel? Right winger? I don't think it's true. You know what I think? Honest to God's truth, you're a fucking troll. Go fuck yourself. You're gone. Let's see. You're gone. Concerned citizen, you're fucking gone. All right, anyway. Goodbye.